through the university, they just like just cram down theory. That's all great, depending on what you need it for, but you need that hands-on connection and the caring. And I can say over the years, that part is being lost. It's just skills and orders and tasks. You just become this robot. And I can tell this now too, because they're even teaching at four universities, colleges about me, using my name about what not to do kind of thing in ethics courses and classes. Like, York University has a whole class on Kristen Nagle. This is what she did, and just trying to really scare those nurses into standing in line.
All provincial and territorial regulatory bodies have statements relating specifically to accountability. And what is one of our biggest stories in the news right now with the nurse, she was a London Health Science nurse who went to the Trump rally and was filmed and was charged and lost her job and is likely going to lose her registration. We need to be accountable for our own actions. And apparently storming the U.S. Capitol was not a good idea.
Have you lost your license?
I have not. I have not lost my license. They came after my license and under three investigations. They actually gave both Crystal and I a caution. So what that means is they said, okay, we're not going to take you down the disciplinary route. We're not going to try to take your license away. But in order for you to stay active in your license, you need to do this remedial education course, paid for out of pocket, which was $3,000. And you have to stand in front of the ICRC committee, which is the disciplinary committee, and, get your spanking and, get lectured and told all the things you did wrong. That obviously was not going to happen. I lost the ability to fight that in the court system for whatever reason. Crystal went ahead to fight that in the courts through judicial review, whatever it was. And this is, again, another way how corrupt our court systems are, which we know on so many different levels. But I mean, the regulatory bodies are a whole next level. But she lost with judicial notice. So it was a case about evidence. So they,
Right.
said, your evidence, what you said is wrong. And she's like, okay, well, how about you look at my evidence? Here it is. Here are the sources. Let's look at it and see if it actually is wrong. And this is what she was, going into courts with them about, because she got the same caution as I did. She's like, I'm not doing what you said. So how about you look at my evidence first? And they're like, no, we don't need to. Judicial notice. We can take it as is. We don't need to look at your sources or your evidence or even see if you're right. And so she lost. And then the college charged her $17,500 for court costs and whatever else. And she's stuck in the same position as I am. I didn't have that opportunity to even go to the courts. And it was either do what they say or your license will be suspended. And I resigned my license. I didn't want to be in that profession anymore. I was never going to go back to be a conventional nurse. I didn't want to keep giving them money for them to keep coming back after us. And to me, it was more of a statement for me to walk away from them and just be like, this is not even what you're not worth my time right now, wasting my time and energy on fighting for something I don't want when I can move ahead and be better than what you're creating.
Yeah. And for people watching this, just want to take a moment and talk a little bit about judicial notice, because it's something I've spoken about publicly. In fact, I've even done a video on judicial notice. And it's really this process within the court systems that I learned about this year, where judges or the courts are not actually looking at evidence. They're accepting the justification at face value from certain people that they deem to be in more of an expert position than they are. So to use a very, very crude example, the Statue of Liberty, for example, it's commonly known that it is in New York City. Okay, so judicial notice would be something where like, no, I don't need to see the evidence of judicial notice. Or the evidence that New York has the Statue of Liberty, right? That's an example. There's no evidence that's required. But what we saw was that a lot of the times the courts were accepting judicial notice without actually, for example, knowing where the Statue of Liberty is, but only by virtue of somebody saying, hey, it's in New York City, take my word for it. And that's been a fundamentally flawed situation that we've all been in. And I know Professor Bruce Pardy, who teaches law at Queen's University, has talked about judicial notice. He spoke about it at the NCI. I spoke about it on a video that I had done, and I referenced the specific case. This is where the courts have deferred an opinion or deferred looking at the evidence when it was brought forth by public health. They just said, you're the experts, we'll take your word for it, and we won't look at any of your evidence, which is something that happened out in BC with Bonnie Henry and the lawsuits going on with her. And that's been happening around the country. So judicial notice is something that I would encourage the viewers to pay particular attention to when they hear that term, because it's a way that the courts and the government have been getting around up to this point, being culpable for the things that they've done. And so what we're seeing is judges, I can't confirm this, but I think the judges may now be starting to look beyond judicial notice and saying, okay, I think it's now time that we actually do look at evidence. But I wanted to make that clear for the viewers, because it's a really, really important thing in our justice system where evidence is literally being consciously ignored by judges or courts. And that advantage has been exploited by prosecutors. So I wanted to highlight that point because it's really, really quite important. Mm-hmm. But, you had raised other issues, and I know Jordan Peterson has talked about this. And I want to ask you about this in terms of nursing, but he made a statement about doctors. The selection of doctors into medical school there's a certain portion of your application, whether the reviewing board or the acceptance board to the medical school views that potential doctor applicant as a person who's compliant. So do you have any thoughts on maybe how that is being applied in the universities or the colleges towards nurses or potential students who want to become nurses? Do you think that they're being viewed as or assessed on their compliance to authority as well?
Absolutely. Maybe not directly, but definitely indirectly they're making that point. I mean, as I had said, they're using me as an example. I think there was a St. Clair College. I have a video clip of it. Some students sent it to me, and it was like, pay attention to, following, the rules or following authorities. Like, look what this nurse did. She did this and, got herself fired. They're talking about Washington, DC. So I think not so direct as what was stated with the doctors, but definitely indirectly, they're telling nurses to, stay in line and follow the rules. I remember actually when I went to Tucson, Arizona to work, I was right out of nursing school and I was going to join this OR program. And it was supposed to be 2 years long. And anyways, one of the mentors, the nurses there training me, she made this example of, okay, she's like, if the anesthesiologist needs anything, like if they need, a blanket or, a drink, then you're going to run out and get it for them. And I remember in that moment thinking, I was like, no, I am not. I'm not here to be like their guinea pig of getting them a blanket and a drink. If they need actual, clinical help and skills, like that is what I went to school for 4 years, not to get these, higher ups, however you want us to view them. They're blankets if they're cold. Like, give me a break. That's not what I'm here for. So yeah, there's definitely the grooming, I guess you could say, into being, complacent and knowing your status of where you belong.